All right, happy Sunday morning to you folks. Welcome to Got Your Back, short shift, live stream edition. Jason Strudwick will join us in just a minute, getting set to break down the Oilers' important win last night in Vancouver. One of those games where you're coming up against a team that you know has got some emotional backing, what with everything happening with Bruce Boudreau. And good teams throw their game down in a game like that. And I thought the Edmonton Oilers did a good job of throwing their game down last night, picking up another big 2 points. How about that winning streak? Now 6 games. That's flat out a heater now, folks. 6 qualifies as a heater to me anyways. A reminder that Got Your Back Short Shifts brought to you by Mid-City Construction Management, a locally owned family company specializing in civil construction projects for over 40 years, and they're hiring right now. Currently looking for an accounts receivable billing coordinator. It's a full-time permanent job, comes with great benefits. It's a dynamic position with a high volume of transactions, and you'll work closely with the field superintendents and the project managers. I've had a chance to check out the operation over at Mid-City. It's pretty awesome. Family-owned company, really tight group, seems like a great place to work. So you can search them on Indeed for all their job listings, or you can go to midcity.ca and you can click careers. All right, let's try and bring in Struds to the party. Morning, Struddy.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Good, buddy. I'm good. I'm a little foggy this morning. I was thinking we were going to be 9 a.m., hoping to sleep in a little bit, but somebody was an early bird and wanted to get going.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I just put it out there because you'll do that sometimes. Hey, I'm available if you want to start something. Like, I had plans to go to sleep in today. I was up early. In fact, I've worked out. I've answered emails. Like then I was holding off. Wait, I don't think I texted you till maybe 7:30 or so. I was trying to hold off. Be respectful.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my clock's maybe a little bit later.
You text me. Yeah, exactly. You text me anytime. I'm normally the really early guy that's like up and ready to go and good to go kind of at any point in time. But had another State of the Union with DLR Vinyl last night, and I was a few drinks in, and actually was able to sleep in just a touch this morning. So,
I love it. Well, we got to get to a text or a tweet that came in here from
already.
Clay.
I love it.
I love this way it's starting. It says, "Hey guys, just hoping for Struds. He didn't go back to bat with the port. Although even with a hangover, it was still a top-notch podcast."
Right.
And I did. I was at a curling event last night with the Oilers alumni, and I had like 2 beers. And it's funny. I was like, I'm still reeling from Thursday night. Like and I'm not reeling's a bit dramatic, but I've had a very with my kids, and I know people are busy, but it's just constantly something going on, right? And today is the first day I have nothing scheduled, so I will have a nap, and there's no port in the near future.
I love days that set up in a way where there's a guaranteed scheduled nap in that day.
Oh,
like you look forward to it.
It's coming.
Buddy, I'm a good napper. Like I nap well. I'm efficient. I go lay down. So here's my napping. I go lay down. Right. Sometimes I'll throw the TV on in my room. Sometimes I won't, depending on how I'm feeling. I'll throw in earbuds, and there's this thing on YouTube. It's called brown noise.
Oh yeah.
We've all heard of white noise.
Yeah.
Brown noise is the way to go. Way different than white noise. White noise is like static, like the TV ain't working. Brown noise is like it's deeper.
Oh, okay.
You throw in brown noise out in 3 to 5 minutes, and I only nap for about 25, 30, 35 minutes.
Right.
Boom, I wake up. I'm like a brand new man. I am an efficient napper. You?
Yeah. No, I don't get a lot of opportunities, but I plan on today putting a football game on and sleeping for probably a quarter.
There you go.
But it's a good day. It's been beautiful out. I mean, I'll try to get out the kids, maybe go to the outdoor rink or something. So, but it's a rare day where we don't have anything scheduled other than this podcast. That's why I was calling you at 7 a.m.
That you rescheduled.
Actually, I text Randine. I'm like, hey, is he up yet?
Hey, buddy.
Wake him up.
Buddy, lose my wife's number, okay? Hey, by the way, and listen, we're live streaming the podcast today, so I see we have some people that have joined us. Feel free to fire your questions into the live stream. Struds and I will try and get to them. We'll go to the Twitter mentions as well. So we're going to get to the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks last night. We're going to talk a little bit about Bruce Boudreau and what was happening with the Canucks and that coaching situation. That was tough, man. That postgame was tough to watch. We're also going to hit on Daryl Sutter. If you missed Daryl Sutter's postgame last night, man, oh man, oh man. Classic Sutter. Feel how you want about it, but it was definitely classic Sutter, so we'll hit on that as well. I do want to ask you real quick, Struds. I ran into you at the rink yesterday, and the program that you guys had going down there was awesome. Can you just tell people a little bit quickly about what you were doing and what the cause is?
Yeah, so the NHL has backed up a group called First Shift, and it's Bauer Products. And what it is, it's opportunity for players who haven't played hockey before to get into hockey. It's very cost effective. They get 6 sessions on the ice with me. I'm the lead coach. You can argue whether that's good or not, but kids seem to like it. And then they get all the gear, and it's just a great experience. And then the Oilers have followed it up with Colby's kids, so it'd be like kind of second shift. So you go in there, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more advanced, but we're not talking like going to Oilers practice. It's just a little bit more advanced. So it's great. I've been part of the program. It was first called Little Oilers, and now it's First Shift. I've been doing it, I think, for 8 years. Yeah. And like literally a few thousand kids I've seen, and now I see them at the rinks, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. And there's other guys too. Fistrick does it throughout Edmonton and Northern Alberta, and they do it in Calgary and Vancouver. It's just a great program, and a lot of first-time families, right? You have a lot of people that are maybe new to Canada who are putting their kids in these programs, and it's fabulous.
Yeah, looked really cool, and big lineup of people. The kids were all excited, getting their gear. I know I saw you fitting them for sticks.
Yeah,
and, talking exactly, like one-on-one, like direct contact with the families and working with them, and looks like a great program. So certainly commend you and everybody there that was putting in time on a great program, getting the young ones rocking and rolling in hockey. Okay, let's get to the game last night. So a 4-2 win for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll go to the Weiss Johnson soundbox right away here because, Connor McDavid was asked, how his team is doing this and what properties they are displaying. And I think these were on display last night as well to be able to pull off what they have here recently.
I think depth. I think we're showing a lot of good depth. We're getting contributions from everybody, whether it's on the score sheet or playing physical or blocking a shot or being solid defensively. I think we're getting contributions up and down the lineup, and then a little maturity. We found ourselves in some tight games and finding a way to close them out, and that's a big part of winning.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with both of those points, and I thought, again, both on display last night, and just a usable bench deep into a game, and a group that's showing maturity in their game, Struds.
Yeah, it's something. Well, 2 parts of that I've mentioned before was, if you're on the team, what do you do? Like, what do you do to help the team win? And we're seeing it now. Guys that were maybe unsure of their roles or what they should be doing are now doing it. And I love that he mentioned the physicality, because there's a lot of guys who are contributing to that. There's some shot blockers. The offense has kind of always been there. But then the second part of that is they're actually getting a chance to do it because you can't hit someone from the bench, right?
Yeah.
So you looked at the ice time spread again last night, and I know people are they're probably thinking I just beat this to a pulp, but you need to have the opportunity to show what you can do and feel like the coaches believe in you and contributing in a positive manner. And I think last night and during this winning streak, we've seen the ice time spread being very comfortable amongst all the 18 skaters.
So Evan Bouchard, 15-33. Derek Ryan, 13-35. Like, I'm just looking down the list here at ones that come out as notable to me. They played Darnell Allotti. He was 25-05 in that game last night.
All the way.
Desharnais was 11-13. Philip Broberg, 16-27.
Yeah.
Cody Ceci, under 20 minutes, down to 18-12. There's this distribution of minutes that you've been pointing to, but I do agree with you, Struds, because the one thing you notice is you might be able to get away with tilting the minutes pretty hard towards your skilled guys during the regular season, but we saw it last year. The playoffs are an absolute grind, and you need to have usable depth defensemen, usable depth forwards, because in a playoff series, they really do matter. You can't get away with tilting the minutes that way.
No, but you can find out, now everyone's kind of playing, not kind of, they are playing. And anything north of 10 minutes is, you've got to do something now. Like, I was critical about the 5-6, but anything over 10, you got to prove that you can do something. And they are. So the guys are responding, but also Jay's finding out what combinations work. We've seen different line combinations over the last little while, but what I love about it is that he's putting different combinations together and still working. So obviously there's a system in place. There's predictability about what each other is supposed to do or what each role is supposed to do on a line, whether it's the forecheck, your own zone, or back checking, whatever it is. And that doesn't stifle creativity. What it does is creates predictability before you get the puck back. Then once you get the puck back, now you're able to do kind of whatever whatever your talent allows you to do, right? So you're not going to tell Connor McDavid, okay, you have to do this every time with the puck, but you have to work to get it back. Once you get it back, now your creativity takes over, and that skill that the Oilers have, specifically in their top six, takes over.
Let's get into the goals. So McDavid, 40 and 48 games, just ridiculous. Making me look like more of an idiot every day when I was like, I don't think Connor's focused on goals this year. 40 and 48 games, you go, hold my beer. But the amazing thing to me is his goal to assist differential. You look at him over his career. I mean, he's always been a heavier assist guy. 40 goals and 48 assists. So he's got 88 points here, the fastest to 40 goals since Pavel Bure, which is nuts considering the difference in the eras here and the goal scoring. And another breakaway goal. So his ability to snipe from the slot and his breakaways, point to those two things, Struds, is a big difference in his goal scoring prowess this year.
Yeah, he does seem very comfortable in both those situations. But I just want to acknowledge the pass from Hyman. That was a high-level pass. I believe he shot it through the triangle. That means under the guy's stick to get it there. And you could see from Connor's reaction, like he points right at him. And I love when I see someone recognize the contribution to their goal by their fellow teammate.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way. Do you think Hyman's going to make that pass again or try to feed Connor again? Now, to be honest, like you're always going to try to feed Connor McDavid because it's Connor McDavid.
But it was through the guy's legs, wasn't it?
It was. I thought it was under stick, but either way, it was through a player.
Yeah.
Let's just call it through a player. But what I love about it is Connor's recognition of that and saying, just pointing, and then he gave it the old boom. And then he was excited. I love that moment. What it means about the team, and quite honestly, like to start out the game like that, or relatively quickly start a game like that with your captain. Again, timing of his goals are so important.
We're going to get to a couple comments here in a minute. I also want to talk about details and the team. So the team's winning games. They're playing better. I think we all agree 5-on-5, they're playing better. But the small details that really matter that indicate everybody's bought in, right? So there was a goal. Which one was it? It was the Zach Hyman power play goal, the 2-0 goal. If you back that up, shorthanded, Vancouver ended up on a little bit of a rush down ice, and I don't think they had much of an opportunity, but point being, their penalty kill was driving play towards the Oilers' nets. And if you look, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Leon Draisaitl, the players on the power play, they were back all the way back to their own hash mark. They back-check hard when Vancouver had that. And it wasn't much of an opportunity, but it just, to me, Struddy, something simple like that is a mindset. Where your skill guys, and Draisaitl in particular, at times is sort of like, it doesn't work on the power play. You kind of meander back and wait for the break. No, they hustled their ass back and were ready to try and regain possession of that puck and then went up ice the other way really fast. So there's an attention to detail that's happening within the group that's trickling throughout the lineup. And when those top players are doing it in situations like that, this attention to detail to me is making a big difference.
Yeah, Kevin Bieksa is an excellent guy at intermission. He had a montage of what he sees from the Oilers, and I thought he nailed it. I've talked about it being between your man and the net when you don't have the puck, and it's subtle. Like we're talking about in some cases, it can be a movement of 2 feet, of 3 feet. But now when instead of being beside a player in the offensive zone, you're above him. So that means between your net and him, he's got to skate through you. And that makes a big difference. And it's just harder. It just gets mucky, right? It feels like there's always someone in your way and you're trying to go, and it's so frustrating and very subtle. But you know what, Sugar, it takes a lot of mental awareness and work, because you're like, oh God, I got to get right in the right place. But when they do that, it's so much less work, because now you're not having to go defend in your own end. So Bieksa, to me, he's must watch. I don't have that for every single guy, but Bieksa is must watch in those intermission. And his insight is I think just on point.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you. To the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions, and we'll remind you that it's a great time of year to look into a furnace for the garage. They got an awesome deal going until the end of January. No GST on all garage heater installations. I just had one put in, and it's absolutely worth it. 20% off all in-stock air conditioners when you purchase a furnace is also another one of their specials that they have going right now. So Weiss Johnson, give them a call, 780-463-3096, or go visit the showroom at 5803 Roper Road. All right. R. Babichuk says, have the Oilers changed their D coverage? What's different from weeks ago, or are they just executing now? Struds, have you seen tactically any fundamental shifts from them?
Yeah, I mean, not much. I mean, systems vary not that much, right? They're pretty, although I'll say the Canucks, like their D zone is that is something to behold. Oh my God, they're all over the ice out there. I don't know what they're playing, but I know the question was about them. But I think the Oilers I do think the fact that they're dressing 7, I think everyone's ice time's been back down. And I think that there's now a little bit more competition for ice out there. So everyone is really being a little more attentive defensively. They've eliminated that kind of big mistake that we've seen before, whether it was with or without the puck or coverage or not covering. But it just feels like they're way more aware of what they need to be doing. And at the end of the day, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Your job stay between your man and the net. And if you do that, like 95% of the time, you're going to be fine. There's some great plays guys are going to make, but generally in the right place. So I think I really do think that the reduced ice time, that competition for ice time, has made guys kind of crank up their defensive awareness.
So at what point, and I'm thinking about Vinny Darnay here, at what point do you say, okay, guys, on his first NHL stint, the adrenaline, he's just sort of playing out of his skull right now because he doesn't know the difference. We see these call-up bumps sometimes from guys.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of settles back down to earth. And you remember, this is the NHL. I'm not sure if that moment is coming for him, Struds. I don't want to get too far ahead of the, jump the shark here too much, but I feel like he's been pretty consistent since he got here, improving. And I don't know if he's coming back down to earth or if he just is what he is at this level.
I always felt it was after 10 games because you're right. That's about not maybe a month, right? And you've been up and all of a sudden you're a couple of paychecks in and you're like, holy geez, I'm actually doing this. Like I'm playing the NHL. Like now you start thinking about who you're playing against, who you're playing with, and not that players become complacent or they become lazy. It's just that it kind of hits you like, holy turds, I'm actually out here doing this right now. So I think after 10 games, let's get a better read. Is he still as physical? Is he still cross-checking? Is he still making little plays? Like, because, last night I thought he was pretty solid again, just over 10 minutes. And with 7 defensemen get over 10 minutes as kind of that 6-7 guy, you can't complain too much. I'd rather play 10 minutes in the NHL than 25 in Bakersfield.
Shalofa Man points out undefeated in the Darnay era, which is true. Like since they put him in, they've pretty much been running the table. Just here for NHL says every Oiler over 10 minutes last night. Everyone contributing. Definitely agree with that. How about this one from Buddy on a Couch? This is as consistently physical as I've seen them play in years. Very refreshing. How much of an uptick have you noticed in the physical play? And this isn't just about getting in there and being willing to scrap. It's shift to shift, people buying in to the idea that freaking matters.
Well, I think in during this win streak, as they point out with Darnay, they brought in 2 players that love the physical play, right? Kane and Darnay. Yeah. And so they're 2 big bodies. You've taken out a guy, not that Yamamoto doesn't play physical, but he's limited in size, so it's harder for him to be physical. So you bring 2 guys in who, between the 2 of them, I'm guessing last night they played like 25 to 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. So almost one of them is always on the ice. So they're hitting. And then you put in Fogle, you put in Puljujarvi, you put in, Hyman, you put in Leon at sometimes, Darnell, Ceci, I'd like to see more from him. But now you have more and more players. Oh, Costin, how did I miss him? Yep. You had more and more players that are playing physical or physically. So it makes a big difference. So it's not just, okay, we need you to be physical. Darnell, you're our guy. And he's already playing 25 minutes. Like, how much can you add? So I think that there's more people willing to do it that are in the lineup and it makes it look way more physical than it maybe actually is. Because again, if you take Darnay and Kane out, that's a lot of physicality you're taking out. You keep and let's say keep Kleem out too. That's 3 guys that are very comfortable in physical games. But now they're in there. Now they're playing more regularly, and that makes a huge difference. So I do agree there's more, but I think there's more people willing to do it, Sugar.
Zach Hyman loses another review. He sort of laughed about it after the game. He's like, kind of at the point where I don't care. Like, it's kind of out of my hands. But let's have a little bit of a Hyman appreciation moment here. His career high in points was 54. And by the way, that was in his first season with the Oilers. He finished at 27, 27, 54 in the 76 games he's played. He's already at 56 points in 47 games. He's got 24 goals already this year. I can't do the math quickly in my head on what it all projects to, but a heck of a lot more than he's ever gotten before. Like next level offense to what he's ever gotten before. Struds, I just don't think there's a way to properly articulate what an absolute slam dunk home run this signing has been on every single level, on the ice, off the ice, in the community, in the room. Every which way you look at this, it's been dynamite.
Yeah, I think Ken Holland got this one right, and it's just amazing. The impact he's had on this group and the effort level he brings. I just want to comment on the disallowed goals. Yeah. When you're getting that many goals disallowed, it screams that you're going to the net, right? Yeah. And he's always around the net, and it's, he's not. I got to be careful I word this. He's not an extremely skilled player. He is a very hard worker that goes to the blue paint. His goals, there's not even last night's like, almost anyone can make that tap in on the back door, but not everyone's going to work that hard to get into that position with the mindset that they're going to the net hard. And so, that sounds like a backhanded compliment, but it actually is. I think that it's a very simple, straightforward game he plays. He just brings effort every night and he goes to where the puck's going, which is the net. Yeah. And I believe that is why he's so effective. And he's very hard on the puck.
Yeah. Did you see the play behind the net, to your point, being hard on the puck? So he's grinding for a puck and he ends up on his ass. And then he kind of twists around sideways from his ass and knocks it to the side of the net to McDavid, who throws it in front, and there's a chance on net. My point here, seconding your point, there's no puck that he doesn't think he's got a chance to win.
Yeah. He's just on it, and he's relentless on that puck. And I always talk to young kids, like, it's going to be difficult for you to get to be McDavid or Draisaitl. And I don't want to crush your dreams, but you can be Zach Hyman.
You can point to him as a parent, right?
He is the guy that you want your kids to see and play like and replicate, because his, like, what stands out? His effort, his just determined, so determined to get to pucks, and then he goes to the net. That's really the 3 things he does amazingly well. But those aren't super, super high skilled things, right? We're not talking about Connor McDavid getting through 5 guys. So I just love how skillful he is at a simplistic game, and I love watching him play. You just marvel at him.
Nice outing for Stuart Skinner. He's like 2+ weeks. Was out of the mix before he was able to get back in there. So nice performance from him. They now have 2 goalies who have to be feeling pretty good about their game. And what a great thing that is for this group. It's going to be interesting to watch Jay Woodcroft manage these 2 guys and see if he can handle it in a way that keeps both guys pretty sharp, Struds.
Yeah, now it's a challenge, right? Yeah. I've been beating this drum that they got to get Campbell, and now I think Campbell's probably very comfortable with his game, as is Skinner. So what do you do? What do you do? Campbell's coming off, what was it, a 5-game heater, and now Skinner played a good game. So who do you play next? Do you just alternate from now on, or do you go 2 and 2? Like I literally have 0 sense when it was Tippett,
so bad.
I am when it was Tippett with Smitty and Mikko. I kind of had a sense of what was going on. I think, Shogger, the reality is this: I don't even know what I would do with these 2 guys, because it's a nice problem to have. And I think there's got to be a sit down with the coach, the goalie coach, and the 2 goalies. Say, guys, this is what we've been wanting all year. Now you guys are both feeling good. Let's talk out an approach. Like, what do we want to do? Because does Skinner deserve to play next game? Yes, but so does Campbell. Like they both deserve to play it. Now, Skinner has a longer track record this year, but Campbell's been in the NHL for a lot longer as well. So how do you manage these two guys? And, but if you look at the team in general, I mean, which players are not performing at the level you'd like? It'd be pretty hard to pinpoint many guys. Everyone's at least where you think they should be or above it. So there's going to be some tough decisions night in, night out for this coaching staff, but my God, that is what we were hoping. We talked about this before the season, depth. And now you're finally starting to see it, and players that don't deserve it are either going to play less or even not play.
The thing with Skinner that just blows my mind is just the change in his life in a 5-month stretch. You go from being an American League guy with good potential to sticking in the NHL, being the better of the two for the first 2 months of the season, winning the starting job. Wife has a baby, sign a multi-million-dollar contract. Oh, now you're going to the All-Star game. Like this is heady stuff. And Stuart Skinner just stands there with his mustache and his hat, and he's all ho-hum and just golly gee, like the nicest human ever. Maybe he and Zach Hyman and Sam Gagner in a tie, I guess. But what a turn of events for a guy's life in over a 5-month stretch, Struddy. And the NHL just can do that for you.
Oh, it can, but it doesn't happen by accident, and I always get a little bit spicy when I'm not suggesting you are, but people are like, oh, it just fell into place from. It doesn't work like that.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
You have no idea, and not you, but the general public doesn't appreciate the effort this guy's been put in. I coached him in grade 9 at academy. I didn't when I was a goalie coach, but I saw him. So that is, he was in grade 9. So that's got to be, close to 10 years ago now. And I remember, and listen, I wasn't like a genius, but I could see he had talent. And I remember him talking about some of the things he'd do, this ice sessions, the goalie sessions, all that kind of stuff. Just crazy amount of time he put in. Yeah. And then you multiply that by 10 years. And then the journey from one team to the next, to the minors, to it's just, and so he was ready. And just being ready for your opportunity is great. Everyone wants an opportunity, but not everyone's ready when they get it, Schauger.
Yeah, and he has seized it. He has seized it. And he seized it right from the get-go. There was no fumbling of the ball. There was no stumbling in any way, shape, or form. They handed him the ball, he grabbed it, and he's been running with it ever since. And if I were to say to you right now, who's starting game 1 of the playoffs? Who do you think will? It's sort of like a predictor. Who's going to be the stronger of the two through the stretch and into the postseason? And let's assume they're going to start the guy that's playing the best, because that's probably what you have to do. I really don't know the answer to this right now. I might lean towards Skinner because he's been more consistent all year. But the fact that we can't answer that question, and it's because both guys are playing pretty well, that's a good sign for the team.
Yeah, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I'd really have a tough time choosing
no kidding.
Who to play. But we could say that through the lineup too, man. If they decided to go with 7 and 11, I think if they go at 6D, I think it's pretty clear that Desharnais is probably coming out. But does he deserve that? Does the team need him in the lineup? Same thing up front. If they keep it at 11, and let's assume everyone's healthy, who are the 11? Who are the 2, 3, 4 at the playoffs? It's a little different because a lot of people can sit out. Who are the ones sitting out? And you need that. So there's going to be some broken hearts, as we go through here about games played and everything that's going on. But and honestly, it might get worse if they add a player, or I guess if a player comes in, someone is going to have to go out. But even Dylan Holloway, I have been firmly on the send Dylan Holloway train down. And now my positioning softening on that, right? I think that, he is, well, A, he's getting more ice time, and B, he's contributing. So is it fair to him to go down?
Yeah. Kittle Farm says loved Holloway's hit right after his line mate got drilled moments earlier. Yeah, Holloway's showing a little physical intention out there, which I like.
Well, let's talk about after that. Costin jumps in and puts them both in a headlock, and he's just holding them both.
He's got them both like this. This isn't happening.
You two aren't doing this. Yeah. You two aren't doing this.
Get out of here, you two. What are you up to, you crazy little kids?
It looked like Big Brother had these two little turds in a headlock. Yeah. But I love that Holloway ran him. but that's, when I project Dylan in my mind, in 2, 3 years, 4 years, he's got the speed, physicality, and attitude
Yeah.
that he's like, you know what, he can turn the game over with a hit or a goal or a rush. Like, he's starting to understand what his body can do, right? And I mean,
And limiting the
in a perfect
mistakes a
world,
bit too, right?
yeah, in a perfect world, he would have been in the minors and coming up in February, but I can't, that ship has sailed, so I don't need to beat that down. But in the way that they've had to handle him because of injuries, he seems to have started to find a consistent groove as a looking like an NHLer, which is, I mean, that's great. Same with Broberg, and you can talk about his competition, but he's beating the competition he's playing against. Isn't that the job of everyone, where you get slotted?
No, I completely agree. Okay. Let's get to Bruce Boudreau, this situation. So the Vancouver Canucks, everybody knows a coaching change is coming. Everybody's known it for a while. For some reason, management decided to go public. Jim Rutherford last week basically talking openly about the fact that, yeah, they've talked to other people about the job and, he's our coach for now. This is so odd to have basically a dead man walking in a coaching position where everybody knows and it's all been stated publicly. And so, Bruce Boudreau has a lot of respect out there. And Canucks fans have embraced him through this awkward couple of weeks here, awkward couple of months, and they've been showing him all kinds of love. Everybody basically knew that was likely his last game last night. He said goodbye to his players and thanks and waved to the fans like Struds. It was so bizarre. And how the management team has kind of allowed it to get maneuvered into this position, we don't see this. And there's a reason that we don't see this, because business is seldom handled this way.
Well, let's first start in analyzing his body of work. And, you look at their team, they're last in penalty killing and last in goals against per game. This team does not play defense. And, watching the game last night, I was just like, ooh, that's pretty loose. And we can talk about, whether Quinn Hughes is Scott Stevens or not, but they're better than that. This team is better than they've played. And I believe it does come down to coaching. Not all of it, but the roster construction is not perfect, but they're better, especially goals against and the last penalty. Could they have both those honors? That's the double green jacket.
Yeah.
But for an organization that it considers itself so progressive in its hiring, bringing in, Emily Castengay, I think her name is.
Yep.
And then Cami Granado,
and yep.
And Rachel Dory was brought in. Now that that changed, but all these very progressive movements, and we're going to be so progressive and change, and I think that's very positive. But this feels very personal, the way they've let Bruce Boudreau just blow in the wind, and it's really hard as a player. I'd be blown away that this is what's happening. That this is this is our coach. He's crying in a press conference because he thinks he's getting, and not that the crying part, but yeah, and not, don't get me wrong. I don't want to say the crying's wrong, but that he feels so emotional. He's crying in a morning skate press conference
based on the situation he's been put in.
It's mind blowing. It is mind blowing. Like, I'm sure the coaches have felt like crying when they watched their team play in their own zone, but to cry because of the way they're mishandling this situation from a so-called progressive organization, I can't believe it. So, and I Jim Rutherford has been around a long time, and I still think he's a GM, but whatever, the president. Then he got the GM, Patrick, Alvin. Oh my God. I just see insensitivity towards him to let someone like that blow in the wind, and just a complete lack of disrespect. Now, it can be a two-way street. I'm sure that there's things going on behind the scenes we don't know about or haven't seen, but Shoggy, I don't get it. I just cannot imagine. It's like you're in a party and everyone knows that one spouse is cheating on the other spouse, and everyone knows it, but no one, really wants to talk about it. Like, it's just the weirdest.
Yeah, just awkward and strange.
Awkward, and I feel bad for Bruce. I mean, I don't typically feel too bad for coaches. They're kind of, you're hired, you're fired. That's kind of the job. But that way in this has been handled, I do feel really badly for him.
I throw you, Chaz, says firing him is not the problem. That's business, the way they're going about it. This is terrible, horrendous handling of this. Don't disagree. Here's Bruce Boudreau, who, yes, he's been emotional. And last night at the end of the game, the Bruce There It Is chants echoing through the building. He stood, normally a losing coach, you just walk off the bench pissed, right? He didn't.
Right.
He paused for a minute, kind of breathed in the moment, tapped his chest, and pointed to the fans as if to say thank you very much. Here's Boudreau on that moment from the Weiss Johnson soundbox.
Like having that moment to actually say goodbye.
I just wanted to savor looking at the stands, because who knows if I'm ever going to get this chance again, and just keep that in my mind, in the memory, and let it burn there forever. And I was looking across, trying to find my wife, see what she was doing.
See what she was up to, right? Yeah, just see what she was up to. Here he is talking about, maybe why the timing is what it is.
I don't know the reasoning why I'm still here, but maybe it's because the next games are Chicago, Seattle, and Columbus. But for the new group, good luck. But
good luck to the new group. Here he is on how he's been able to keep it so positive despite all this garbage.
Sure, for you and everything. How have you been able to just keep this, trying to make people happy, make people laugh mentality that you've had throughout your time here?
I'd like to say alcohol, but I don't drink anymore. So it's, but that's the first thought that came to my mind.
And then finally goes down swinging for his assistant coaches.
At 6:30 every morning, and we don't take days off, and they were great support. And I couldn't ask for anything more from those guys. They're all great coaches, and if they get let go, the team's stupid enough not to take whatever that means. Like, they'd be stupid not to take any one of these guys, as they're all great coaches. And I've been around a lot of them. In this is my 30th year coaching, so it's. But these guys are top notch, and it's unfortunate because they don't deserve this.
What a way to go out, scrapping for his guys. And, again, it was really emotional last night for Boudreau. So funny, normally a coaching change is a nice fresh start for everybody, but it feels like they got some work to do to, I'm not sure what talk it says or, whoever goes in there says about this, and even what they're thinking about this. Like, this is the way the organization is going to handle these sorts of things. Like, yikes.
Yeah, let's be clear. I don't think that the decision's a wrong decision. It's the way they're handling it. I think that's a real mess. Yeah. And so you're bringing in, and it sounds like it's Rick Tocchet. And why? And Rick Tocchet might be the greatest coach of all time, but why are you hiring your guy mid-season when there could be a ton of off-season changes? Now, I'm guessing there won't be any to the upper management. But, you're going to change your roster up between now and then. This coach has no idea what he's getting into, and this coach could be anybody. Like, I would just give it to your assistant coach, just grind it out for the year, and, maybe you lose some more games, get a better, I'm guessing Bo Horvat's getting traded. Like, would you want to be a part of this? If I was the captain of that team and I'm watching this happen, I'm thinking, is this who I am? Is this who I want to be a part of? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can answer that and say yes, because the money is going to be the same wherever he goes. He's going to get a lot of money. He's going to get 60, 70, 80 million, whatever the number is, Shocker. But
so this would be the counter argument to that. And I'll just play devil's advocate. I don't even know that I believe this, but if you think you have the guy, if you think that Tocchet's the right guy and Rutherford and him have a history, he's obviously, fairly close to the top of the list for any other openings that come up. So you want to pounce if you think you got the right guy. The second thing is they do have some decisions they have to make on some of their personnel, right? I think about a guy like Besser. What if Tocchet comes in and turns a dial on a guy like Besser between now and the end of the season, and he just starts clicking, and he affects a few guys in a different way, and the outlook of the team, like you saw how much Jay Woodcroft adjusted when he got here and tweaked, and some players respond. And so maybe it's an opportunity to get a better read on some guys between now and the end of the season based on the guy that's going to be their guy next year. Just might provide a clearer picture when you're making important personnel decisions. Is that fair?
It is fair, except they did that last year when Bruce Boudreau came in and just tweaked a couple of things, and they almost made the playoffs. And it was all like, hey, we're going to make it. We're going to do it. And then here they are in a worse shitstorm than they were last year. So I don't know, man. I think this organization. What's that?
I said you're not buying it.
Well, I don't know. You can put the lipstick on the pig as much as you want, but it's still a pig. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It just feels like they're just half measures, half now, all the time. And like, oh, we shouldn't have signed JT Miller. Well, you decided that last year because he had such a good run because Bruce Boudreau came in. So now let's say you're right. I love that your comment. So let's say Tocchet comes in and he turns his team around. They go on a heater. Let's say they win 65% of the games after he comes in, and Besser and Horvat are both playing great. Do you keep Besser and do you make sure you keep Horvat? And then you have no cap room. You got to trade someone else. Like I don't know. I just feel like they're just spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
I don't know. From a distance, and I like Quinn Hughes. I like Pedersen. I love Horvat. But at some point, like, what's the mix? And to be fair, maybe my original comment about their D zone play, maybe that's a big issue, man. Because their D zone play, when you are last in goals against and the penalty kill, that's a significant challenge I think Tocchet's going to have to address. And it'd be interesting to see what it goes from, because you're not going to change it, like, to move up to first, but you can maybe just start from Tocchet and see how that evolves over the year.
Back to the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions. Now that the Chychrun rumors have slowed, let's get to the Horvat chatter going. No, we're not doing that, Pizzo4. We're gonna save trade talk for a different podcast, but the Horvat stuff will be interesting to see how that plays out. Okay, let's shift to another Canadian team, the Calgary Flames. So here's the storyline in Calgary. A young guy named Jakob Pelletier plays his first NHL game last night, right? 21 years old. He comes in, he's a Quebec kid. Exciting night for him, right? Big deal. And after the game, Flames win. The head coach gets asked what his thoughts were on this young player's contribution. And here is Daryl Sutter Ing.
Of Jacob's first few shifts in the NHL.
Jakob Pelletier. What number is he? 49. 6 minutes, 35 seconds, 13 shifts, average 30 seconds a shift. Got 43 seconds in the power play, played 5 minutes, 52 seconds. Had one shot and goal and one hit.
Beyond the stats.
What did you learn just from being on the bench and seeing what the veterans on the team are doing?
It's the NHL. 21 years old. Got a long ways to go.
What number is he? Reads his stats line off, doesn't offer a single ounce of feedback on what the player did in his first NHL game, then reiterates 21 years old, it's the NHL, he's got a long way to go. So some people are saying online, oh, this is Daryl Sutter's form of humor. Like, I don't understand this at all. Why do that to the kid? Why? What is the point of doing that?
Daryl likes things to happen on his terms, right? And that's all over. Whether it's with the media or with his players, and I'm sure at points with his manager, he'd be a tough guy to handle. But in a kid's first game, just say, you know what, it was fun to see him out there. We've got some things to work on. Be that difficult in that situation.
What number is he? What number is he? He says, can't even pay him the respect of like. Yeah, you know what? First game, a few bumps, whatever, he'll get there. Like even just an ounce of, God, it reminds me of a guy I played junior with. I don't know if he'll care if I tell this story or not. I don't want to tell it too far out of school. Really good young defenseman, big, strong. His name was Conrad Brand.
Yeah.
And our coach comes in between periods one day, and Conrad, he was one of those guys, man. Like he took a lot of criticism, right? He was one of the coach's guys that got criticized a lot. And I remember Shaq comes in and between periods and we're getting killed. And he starts going around the room, picking guys off one at a time. And so he's like, and I'll try and delete all the expletives that I normally use when I tell this story. He's like, Jerome, get your head out of your ass. Nat, brutal. Mods, you need to wake up. Conrad, whatever. And then he just moves on to the next guy, right? And I remember Conrad sitting in his stall like, I'm finally going to get some feedback. And just, I can't even be flipping bothered, right?
Yeah.
And this, when I heard Sutter do that, it reminded me of that. Young, fragile players whose confidence are looking for some sort of toehold and just nothing.
That's tough. But as a young player, you should be aware and or prepped by your teammates what Daryl Sutter's like.
Yeah, for sure.
He doesn't hand out love very much, at least not publicly, right? So you've got to know what it's like, and that's part of, I think, Daryl's maybe his MO is to toughen you up, right? To thicken your skin.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, first game. You know what? First game it was. I'm sure he's excited. It's fun to have him out there, and we're going to continue to work with him. Oh, great. Okay.
Man, it's been a couple times this year. Like, I don't know how much the team loved the Huberto taking a shit stuff. I kind of put him in a bad spot. Like, it's been a few times this year. Things a little tense down in Calgary, and we'll see which direction that whole operation goes. But Jakob Pelletier, will say congratulations on your first NHL game. I didn't see much of the game, but he's a young guy, and I'm sure there's lots to learn. And good luck moving forward. I guess we'll say what maybe could have been said. All right, Struds, that's going to wrap it up. By the way, I do have one quick story to tell before I let you go. So my brother Rob is in town. You met him yesterday. Like, you met Rob, right?
Yeah, sure.
A decent-looking guy, right? Like,
he is,
young for his age, that sort of thing. So we were in a situation yesterday, or visiting my grandma, and one of her friends was there, and we had masks because we were inside a facility.
Right.
And so this lady goes, "Oh, Ryan, yeah." And my brother Rob's standing there. She goes, Ryan, Rishaug, yeah. Nice to see you. Yeah, I know, I remember you. And then she looks at my brother Rob and she goes, "Is this your son?" Is this your son? To my 44-year-old, 43-year-old brother.
Jeez.
So you can imagine what the rest of the day was like for me after that, Struddy, just eating it.
I'm sure your brothers were very, very understanding.
Oh,
sensitive.
My goodness.
Rishaug, what number is he again? Daryl studied you the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Struds, great job today. Appreciate it. Buddy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Let me know how your nap goes. I want feedback on the nap today.
I'll live tweet it.
Live stream your nap?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. All right, buddy. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And thank you, folks, for tuning in here on the live stream. We appreciate it. Your downloads and your subscriptions. We appreciate your involvement here on Got Your Back. It's awesome ripping through all the comments as people chime in. Love to hear your thoughts on things. And we really appreciate it. Big thanks to our sponsors as well, Mid-City Construction Management, and of course, Weiss Johnson as well. Appreciate you guys joining us. We'll have more podcasts this week as the Oilers continue to rock and roll through their schedule. 6 in a row. We'll see how many they can rattle off. And we'll be dropping podcasts the entire way through. Have yourselves a great Sunday, a great nap if you have one, and we'll chat next week. Cheers.